Joining me is the panel, Rita Panahi, columnist for the Herald Sun and host on Sky News, and Daniel Wild, Director of Research at the Institute of Public Affairs. Our token Iranian on the show. What do you make of Iran? The thing is, a lot of people in Iran have been very upset with their leadership, lacking confidence in them on economic grounds. They see this. That's actually got a political dimension.
Oh, absolutely. And not just political grounds, but they just recently shot down a passenger plane, and that didn't go down too well in Iran, obviously. And the incompetence there, whatever they're admitting to, one thing you can be sure of is that the reality is far, far worse. The only thing the Iranian regime excels at, other than killing its own citizens, is lying. So if they're saying 8% of lawmakers are infected with coronavirus, I'd hate to know what the real picture is. And the number of deaths in Iran is said to be far higher than what they're admitting to, which is already the highest number after China. So it really is quite grim over there because they're not dealing with it. I think in Australia it's a completely different proposition, and I'm still shocked that people are panicking to an extent that they're acting like survivalists and stripping supermarkets of toilet paper and canned goods and all sorts of things, expecting that they're going to be housebound for, I don't know, weeks or months at a time. It's bizarre behaviour. It
is weird. I saw that even in ritzier suburbs like Toorak and all that, people were doing
Brighton had no toilet paper, Andrea. Brighton?
Right. Well, they've got each about 5 or 6 toilets they've got to put paper in, so maybe that's it. So we've got this, that panic. Them, actually in Iran, you see really weird stuff, Daniel. You see people even licking religious shrines, saying either they're licking them clean of the coronavirus for other people, or, you know, I want to get sick for I don't know what reason that is. And here we go completely the other way to the extent of this panic. What do you make the panic out? What's the cause of this?
Well, it's interesting. I think some people and groups in the media organisations have a bit of an interest in inflating how bad this might be. We saw a column this past week in the New York Times saying the virus should be renamed to the Trump virus because, of course, it's Trump's fault. Now, the same people who say that, Andrew, are the same people that called Trump xenophobic and racist for banning travel from China. So you have to take this with a grain of salt. But we've also had universities putting the hand out saying they need a bailout from the government to make up for the lost revenue from
$200 million at Sydney University.
Yeah, because of self-inflicted revenue damage from their overdependence on Chinese students. So we always have to be aware of the interests that are pushing this narrative. Now, I don't want to underplay it because, of course, these things can escalate very rapidly, but clearly we need to be aware of the context within which some of these claims are being made.
Yeah, I think for me from the start it's been like, I'm not going to panic. I want our officials to panic. That's their job. Panic so to save the rest of us, and the rest of us can go about our normal lives. But I have to say, Rita, one thing that I do think we need to look at is this policy we've had of self-isolation. So you come back, you think you might be sick, you stay at home for 2 weeks and let's see. There was one guy who went into a hospital in Tasmania to get tested, later proved positive, but he went home to self-isolate and stopped off at the supermarket on the way home for 15 minutes. We need to have a think about this.
Well, I have no faith in the self-isolation, self-quarantine. I just think you cannot trust people to do the right thing the whole time, and it only takes one rogue person to completely compromise that strategy. So I think you've got to be much stricter with it. And we saw when we brought in the people from Wuhan, there was so much criticism about putting them on Christmas Island. But it worked. We've got that facility there. And it worked. It was 2 weeks. Yes, their internet was slow, but, you know, I'm sure they'll survive. But I don't know what you would do in the mainland if you've got vast numbers testing positive. Then how do you police that? How do you make sure they are
but in the early stages when you only got a few, I think perhaps we need to revise this. I mean, China's seems to have got on top of it in a good way, because they've only, the last couple of days, there have been like 100 to 200 new cases each day in a country that big.
I don't trust anything the Chinese regime tell us. But you know what, I mean, there is also expert opinion, as a leading Australian virologist, Dr. Fraser, said that this is not going to be able to be put back in the box. So if it's going to become endemic, then we're just going to have to learn to live with it.
Correct.